The Steelers really may be on the verge of trading T.J. Watt.
What about T.J. Watt? Everybody just has assumed, rightfully, that the two sides will figure it out. But I don't think they're very close right now. And I don't think that he's particularly pleased. They just gave Jonnu Smith more money. They just gave Jalen Ramsey more money. They haven't given T.J. Watt more money. And you just wonder how that's going to play out here. Yes. But you would think that this situation would be settled by now, and it's not.
And I wanted to talk more about this Jonnu Smith, Jalen Ramsey, Minkah Fitzpatrick trade, which we'll get into later on the show. But we got to start with this T.J. Watt trade stuff because it's looking more and more legit. It's almost like a 50-50 chance whether or not T.J. Watt's going to be a Steeler for 2025 or on another team. Because Steelers are taking calls now. Other teams are inquiring about it. Like, they're really interested. And the fact, too, I guess it doesn't matter how much the Steelers want T.J. Watt. I think it also comes down, it takes two to tango. It also comes down to how much does T.J. Watt want to be a Steeler. And if these reports are true that they're ways away on the contract talks, then who knows what could happen. Would anyone be surprised? After seeing this Jalen Ramsey, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Jonnu Smith blockbuster trade and seeing the DK Metcalf trade earlier and the fact that we passed on bringing back Justin Fields and Russell Wilson for waiting on Aaron Rodgers for a couple months and then eventually signing him, signing Darius Slay earlier this offseason, moving off of Najee Harris. Would anyone be surprised if later today or at some point this week, tomorrow, T.J. Watt is on another team? No, I don't think we should be surprised. I think there's just like it's this 50-50 chance of T.J. Watt being on the Steelers or T.J. Watt being on another team at this point because you know the saying. Like, I feel like Steelers have leverage in this, but I also think T.J. Watt has some leverage in this too because of Tomlin's mantra, we want volunteers, not hostages. Like, T.J. Watt is under contract for another year. And Steelers could play hardball and say, bro, if you don't want to show up for the mandatory stuff, you don't want to be on this team for the regular season, we're just going to fine you. But then it's like, do the Steelers really want that in the locker room and as a part of their environment for this upcoming season, an unhappy T.J. Watt? You know what I mean? Like, we do say we want volunteers, not hostages. If T.J. Watt says, if he requests a trade and says, like, I'm unhappy, this contract, it's not going well, or these talks aren't going well, we're far apart, you're trying to underpay me, I want to get paid what I'm properly worth after seeing what Myles Garrett got, I want something in the 40 millions. If T.J. Watt says, just trade me, this isn't working, then we're going to trade him. Is it going to be helpful for us for the upcoming season? It's hard to see at this point. I couldn't, yeah. Like, what are we getting for this upcoming season that's going to be equivalent of what T.J. Watt's going to bring to the table on defense? As much as I question whether or not T.J. Watt is going to be worth that potential $40 million or whatever we end up paying him for a multi-year deal as he ages, for this upcoming season, it's hard to find a proper replacement for T.J. Watt right now. If we were doing this before free agency or the midst of free agency or before the draft, maybe. But now, like, everyone's kind of got their team set up. And, like, who are we going to get on defense as an edge rusher to replace T.J. Watt? Or who are we going to get of equivalent value? Maybe we could get an edge rusher, a player, a future draft pick, maybe another piece on offense. I just don't see it being equal to what T.J. Watt is going to give us for this upcoming season. Again, we could talk long-term. Maybe there's a deal that makes more sense for us in 2026, 2027, 28. But for 2025, and knowing that Rodgers is on this one-year deal and we're making all these moves to go all in for this upcoming season, man, that'd be a tough pill to swallow, trading T.J. Watt at this point in time. The questions that need answered are, how much does T.J. Watt really want to be a Steeler for life? How much does he want to be a part of the solution? Not only for this year, but for the upcoming seasons. Because, yeah, getting paid $40+ million as an edge rusher going into your 30s, from a business standpoint, it's fair to ask if that's the smart thing to do. That's all I'm saying. Now, I get T.J. Watt. He's earned it up to this point. But business is business. I mean, that's the name of the game with the NFL right now. And I guess you could also say, how much are the Steelers willing to move off of what they think is like appropriate value for TJ Watt for this season, and then for whatever consequential seasons are part of his contract. Because maybe they could throw a human element into the deal. Maybe they're like, bro, $32 million per year. That's what we think is the smartest move. That's what we think is fair value for the organization. Just from a straight business standpoint, considering your age, what you given us last year, all that, right? How many playoff wins we have with you on the roster. But if you want to just throw some of the heartwarming stuff or the human element in, maybe Steelers are willing to budge off that number for a few more million. There's going to have to be a happy medium. Paying TJ Watt over $40 million. And I've said this multiple times on shows. Paying just because the Browns did it with Myles Garrett doesn't mean that we have to. It's smart business for us. At the same time, we need TJ Watt for this upcoming season. So something's got to give. Because you don't sign Aaron Rodgers. You don't make all these other moves and not have TJ Watt here for 2025. Like, you're sending mixed signals. Absolutely mixed signals. If you're trading TJ Watt and you're getting future draft picks, it's like, man, I'm hard-pressed to think that whatever trade that we would make right now, giving up TJ Watt and getting, even if it is a player or two that could help us for this season, I hard time imagining it's going to be of equivalent value, and that's ultimately going to be helping us more in 2025 than just having TJ Watt here. Let's get this deal done, and then we'll figure out whether or not we need to trade TJ in 2026, or this whole all-in 2025 experiment was boom or bust. If it was bust, then you just blow it up. You know, you trade TJ. Like, obviously, everyone's on the table. We just traded Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's one of those guys I don't think anyone would have expected that we were willing to move off of. But you know what? I think that's a good segue into the Ramsey, Smith, and Minkah trade, because there's some stuff coming out about Minkah now after the trade that maybe he was the guy. Remember some of those stories that were coming out at the end of the season after that Chiefs Christmas game? There's one guy on defense that's not doing his job. You heard from Patrick Queen, Deshaun Elliott, I think Cam Hayward. 3 guys in their post-game interviews talking about how everyone else could be doing their job, but if one guy's not, it screws up the whole thing. And there's some stuff coming out now that may have been Minkah the whole time. So I don't know if it's just because he got traded all of a sudden you're hearing this stuff and people are trying to make sense of it, trying to put 2 and 2 together. But Minkah was, dude, he was a dog here, man. Like, I thought he was the epitome of what a Steeler should be.
I think we need to have more people that want to work for it and not expect it to be handed to them, because this is the NFL. Nothing's handed to you. You got to earn everything. And I think that, dudes just think that because they're wearing the black and gold that they're going to win games. And I think we need to check their mentality and make people realize that they got to earn that mentality.
Now, some of this communication stuff, this wouldn't be out of question, to be honest with you, though. A safety that's been in the system for a ton of years, and then all of a sudden they feel like they could do some free roaming stuff, but then the talent or the skill level, the athleticism isn't exactly what it once was when they were making plays, doing some of their own stuff. Like, wasn't that how kind of Troy aged out here in Pittsburgh? His last season or two. You heard stories about Troy was telling players on defense to do one thing or another, and Troy would kind of do his own thing, but he wasn't the same Troy that he was in his prime when he was winning the depoys. We were winning the Super Bowls, and the defense was number 1 in the world. So maybe you were getting some of that stuff with Minkah, where Minkah still feels like he's Minkah from 2019, 2020, and kind of freelancing. He sees something, he's going to do something a certain way. Like, it's not a bad intention thing, or you know what I mean, anything like that. But it can screw up the defense, right? If we're talking about miscommunications, Minkah sees something one way and someone doesn't really get the hint, and there's a blown coverage. And both sides maybe feel like they're in the right, like PQ or someone else on the defense is like, bro, you didn't tell me, or we didn't go over this throughout the week. But Minkah's just like, bro, I I feel like I can make this play, or I think, I got these instincts. I just got to go with it. So maybe honestly, yeah. In Minkah's time, it kind of came to an end. Like, we needed to have a fresh start, almost like with Pickens, but not to the degree of Pickens with the drama, the antics. It's just that, like, you're here for an extended period of time. Sometimes there needs to be a switch up. From a player standpoint, a coach standpoint, a management standpoint, organization standpoint, like, it's across the board. And with us bringing back the coaching staff, with us bringing back Tomlin, there needed to be shakeups one way or another. I thought we were done with the shakeups this offseason, but obviously Omar Khan, Tomlin thought there was one more to be made on defense. So I'm not against it. I'm really not, because you saw how our defense was last year, and we can't be putting it all on Minkah or anything. If anything, Minkah was one of the shining lights, I thought, at times. Now, if you want to talk about some of these miscommunication issues and all that, yeah, I think that's fair game. Who's that on? Who knows? But if you're just talking about trying to switch up, like, Minkah's one of the leaders on defense. He's been here for a minute, and we just needed new voices. We needed new guys in here. New, I guess, like, I don't know how to, like, people, uncomfortability. We'll say that. Like, you need some new guys, new voices, new alphas, new leaders that there's going to be back and forth. It's not just going to be the status quo of, all right, it's Cam, it's Minkah, it's TJ, it's Highsmith. It's the same defense we've been rocking with the last, like, 3 or 4 years. JPJ. We need new guys in here. Jalen Ramsey, yeah, he might mix it up a little bit. He might be calling some people out, like, this is how it has to be. We got Patrick Queen in here coming into year 2. Cam, he's been, like, the steady guy on defense. He's been here the whole time, but all right, now he's got new dudes to go back and forth with on how they're seeing things and how the defense should be operating. I'm for it. Darius Slay, the championship pedigree, he's coming off the Super Bowl with the Eagles. Jalen Ramsey's got the one with the Rams. So, man, like, I think this is going to be a good thing. I really do. It sucks that Minkah's not going to be around for it, because he's one of those guys I would have liked to have been a part of whatever you want to call this. Rebuild, retune, finding the Steeler way again. I was hoping that was going to be Minkah's path, like almost like Jerome Bettis, Steeler for life, essentially, even though he spent first couple seasons with another team. Once we made that trade, Minkah became a Steeler. Like, Minkah was a dog for us. Like, let's not get it twisted. But from an organization standpoint and what we need to be doing for the future of this team, I think this is going to be good for us. I really do. Now we got to figure out this TJ Watt situation. There was more I wanted to get into, but I think this is actually a good spot to cut off today's show, because I wanted to talk about, like, Jalen Ramsey's reaction, Jonnu Smith's reaction to the trade. Pickens is throwing some stuff in there. We got reactions from reporters, more like the details of how they, like Kaboli, Jerry Dulac, how they feel like Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith are going to fit. I'm going to talk about that later on Bleach Report today, though. So if you guys want to hear from me there, 6 o'clock live, you guys can stop in, give your takes on the trade. I'll read comments. But no, I feel like this is a good spot to wrap up today's show. So if you want to, stop through Bleach Report, 6 o'clock, live show. Until then, though, hope you guys enjoyed. Stay chilling. Peace.